Cool. Welcome. Guys, this is a course. Welcome. How to make $80,000 in 20 days. And yes, buy a house with bad credit and no income. I did it. I'm going to show you how I did it. I want you to do it. That was lo-fi, Charlie Brown, my friend. It was. Good call. Good call, Nate. I think Nate introduced me to lo-fi officially. So thank you, sir. If you haven't checked out lo-fi, please check it out. But welcome. We have a great course for you today. How to make $80,000 in 20 days and buy a house with bad credit and no income. I will be taking a slight breath in between slides so I can give you the maximum allowable value in each one. I will be answering questions at the end of the presentation, okay? I want you to write down all the questions you have. You're gonna have a lot. This has to do with seller financing. No gimmicks, there's no tricks. Yes, this is real cash. Yes, this is real money. I am sorry that I was late, but we're here now and I'm super pumped to share with you how I was able to do it and how you are gonna be able to do it. We lock up these types of deals all the time. These are not abnormal for us. We are very creative, and sometimes wholesale is not an option. Sometimes you just can't wholesale deals. You can't get the property at a low enough discount, so you have to pay a little bit higher, but that's okay if you're going to pay on terms. And in this case, that's what we did. What you're about to learn, what seller financing is and how it makes you a ton of money. How to find the deal I found, how to structure the deal, and how to negotiate with the seller. It's really important that you do pay attention. Again, as I mentioned before, you'll have a lot of questions in your mind. Please write them down. You can ask them in the chat. I will be answering these questions at the very end of this meeting. And if you're watching this on the replay, welcome. I am your instructor, Andrew LeBaron, and hopefully this is helpful to you and you can make a lot of money and buy and sell real estate this way. So moving forward. Okay, before I really continue, I want you to consider consulting your local real estate attorney. Okay, every state is very different. This is a disclaimer I do need to put out there. Sometimes a title agent can do it all. Sometimes a title agent cannot do it all. Sometimes you need a real estate attorney. Either way, you should, in my opinion, again, this is opinion, I think you should always have a real estate attorney. Some people just use online lawyer docs. They use online third-party lawyer doc creation tools. I just say get an attorney. That puts a lot of the liability on them, not on you. Watch out for FHA and USDA loans and all other loans that will not allow you to do these types of transactions, okay? Just kind of keep on the lookout for those types of loans. They won't allow you to do them, and attorneys and title agents won't let you. And also, last but not least, be ethical. In this game, a lot of people are swindling sellers. They're unethically manipulating sellers when they are in dire situations, and it's super wrong what they do, but they pretty much take over payments, and sometimes they let it slip and they don't pay the payments, and that's bad. It ruins the credit of the person who is allowing you this opportunity. Okay, so just be very careful. What home mortgage lenders want. So before we get really into the whole seller finance topic, let's talk about what home mortgage lenders want. A home mortgage lender, which is a lender who's going to get you a 30-year or 15-year amortized loan, they're going to want to see good credit from you, 650 or higher. 650 is actually pretty low, but they want to see 650 credit or higher. They want to see a W-2 income, meaning you have an employer. They want to see an income that shows up on your tax returns. When I say that, I mean they want to see a positive figure, a figure that shows that you did make money. A lot of business owners even out the books by the end of the year, where it shows that their income and expenses zeroed out, which is a very awesome tactic, but it doesn't really work if you want to get a loan on a house. Mortgage lenders don't allow it. or they won't easily, they don't have programs that easily allow you to purchase properties. They want to see a W-2 income. Appraisal, they want to have an appraisal done on the property. They're going to force that to happen so the lender is insured. They're going to force an inspection on the property. They're going to ask you to pay fees, and typically it's 1% to 2% you're going to pay in fees. They're also going to do it very slowly. It's going to take around 40 days to get these types of deals closed. Okay. This is what a mortgage lender wants. And this is really frustrating for business people like myself or entrepreneurs that are out there not employed by others but themselves only. And maybe their credit took a tank because we all take risks. Maybe they're not W-2, so you have to prove that you're making money year over year. And maybe you've written off every expense you have, so you really don't have, you really don't show an income on paper. Even though you're making a lot of money, you don't show an income on paper because you're avoiding the tax hit because you have expenses that zero out your books. So this could be pretty darn frustrating. Seller financing, buying homes and properties without a bank. Okay, seller financing is one of the greatest strategies in real estate. In fact, it's probably more lucrative to set up seller financing strategies to lock up equity and cash flow on a mass scale than it is to wholesale. Okay, it's probably a better idea to learn seller financing than any other tactic because you can A, buy a house, B, get a house for your family, C, invest with the home, D, make a killing, make a living, E, you can lock up a house and ride the equity. Let's talk about seller financing. Seller financing is a deal between you and the seller. The seller literally becomes the bank. So these are also known as a seller carryback or an installment loan. Other names include subject to or wrap financing. There's no credit or background check necessary. Maybe sometimes the seller wants you to do a credit or background check, kind of like they would do on a normal lease, but typically it's not. Most all the terms are negotiable. Seller financing is when you make month-to-month payments, installments on a house, and you didn't get a loan for it. You just make the payments to the seller. It is a beautiful, beautiful transaction because it's really non-discriminatory. If you can pay, you can play. That's what seller financing believes. If you can pay, you can play. There are times when sellers do want to see some proof of income, or they want to see some sort of proof of credit, good credit, decent credit. But there's ways around it. There's ways to explain to a seller that you're a young, ambitious entrepreneur. You are growing your businesses. You have the money to play, and you can negotiate the terms. And sometimes you'll fall short of having all the requirements that the mortgage lender wants. So that's why we have this beautiful deal called seller financing. Why would you do seller financing? Well, you want to buy a rental, or you have bad credit, you have no W-2 income, you don't qualify for a mortgage. So there's a lot of reasons why you buy it. You do this. Buying rentals with seller financing is fantastic because you can cash flow or ride the equity. We talked about bad credit. It's really prevalent. It's real easy to improve your credit as well. Okay. And no W-2 income is honestly and unfortunately the issue with a lot of young entrepreneurs out there that are trying to make it. Obviously, they have to walk away and they're not getting that steady income. You're tired of renting and making the landlord rich. Okay. You want to secure an investment and ride the equity, meaning the home appreciates over time. The home you bought this year is worth $200,000. In 8 years, it's worth $500,000, right? It happens. You want to secure an investment and ride the equity. You simply want a house of your own. You want to be wealthy someday soon. And I know that sounds really silly that that's like a real reason, but you can generate incredible amounts of wealth by locking up 1 to 2 to 3 deals like these that will set you up for life, really will. Or you're just bored. If you're bored, these are great deals, incredible deals, all right? Because wholesaling's boring, let's be honest. If you flip paper, if you lock up properties under contract for purchase and sell the note, or sell the paper, that's boring. This is really cool. This is a deal structure, all right? Let's talk about the structure itself. For seller financing, you own the property. You do not own the financial obligation, okay? See this right here? This is the deed. This is the ownership of the property. That's where your name goes. You own the home, all right? You do not own the financial obligation to pay. That's where the seller's name goes. Now, what does that mean? That means you are in an extremely responsible position. You must be very responsible. That's why you have to be extremely ethical when you do seller finance deals. You're probably also wondering who would agree to this. Okay, you'd be very surprised. We've done a lot of deals this way. A home that I moved into with my family was done this way. Okay, we will talk about that deal, but my name's on the deed, my name's not on the mortgage. And I'm sure a lot of questions will come up. If you have those questions, please send them to me and I will answer them. Here's an example of the deal that I moved into. Okay, it's 2609 East Fairfield Street. The property was for sale for over 30 days. The seller needed money now. The house was nice, but needed a lot of updates. The realtor wasn't getting anywhere with the home sale. I found the property on Zillow, of all places, for sale by owner. Seller was tired of renting it. I made a cash offer. They denied. I made another offer that the seller couldn't refuse. So I had a couple offers. I did come up with a cash offer, and then I came up with a creative offer, and the seller took it. Let's talk about it. Here's the property that, here's pictures of the property that we locked up. This is 2609 East Fairfield Street. And as you can see, I mean, the countertops in this neighborhood specifically, they are, they're granite, they're nice. This one is not. This is Formica. You got this old faucet or soffit hanging overhead. It's a 1980s build, so you got some weird architecture going on. Cabinets are not upgraded. You got some nice appliances, travertine flooring. Floor plan's kind of weird. It just needs some updates. As you could tell, the spa's broken, the pool's fine. The bathrooms need to be upgraded. It just doesn't match the other retail listings in the area, okay? Here's the steps. Is it working there? I'm not on that page. Here's the steps in how I locked up this deal. So I texted the realtor and asked about the home. I noticed it needed updates and it hadn't sold, so I mentioned that. She agreed with me, and I asked if the seller would take a few $1,000s from me and walk away while I take over payments and pay off the mortgage in 24 months. Let's go back to step 3 because that was pretty complicated. By the way, before step 3, I did offer a cash price. I think I offered around 170, 180. Okay, pretty low. So then I said, well, would you take a few $1,000s from me and I'll pay the seller some cash as well and take over payments. I offered the realtor a couple grand and promised a quick 14-day close. These are very important. I offered the realtor a couple grand and promised a 14-day close. Now, the realtor never gets paid by the seller. The realtor gets paid typically never gets paid by the buyer. The realtor gets paid by the seller. So for me to offer the realtor a couple grand and a quick close was enticing because she's getting money quick. Okay, that's a huge tip. Realtors don't get paid by buyers, they get paid by sellers. So the realtor was really excited about that proposition. So now I got her on my side and she went to work. She liked the sound of getting paid fast. She called the seller. I met her at the house after she told me that the seller would entertain the offer. I had a check ready for earnest money and a contract with me. The seller got on the phone with me and covered all the specifics and then signed. So it was a step-by-step process. It wasn't way quick in the beginning. In the beginning, I had to re-explain it. I had to tell the seller exactly how this was going to work. I'm buying a house on payments. You know, It takes a little bit for your mind to get around it, but offering the realtor $2,000 cash was a huge, huge windfall because now the realtor was hustling to get the seller on my side. Did you catch that? I was able to get the realtor on my side. The realtor went to hustle with the seller and the seller agreed. So seller calls me, asks me about all the specifics. How did you do this? Or how can we do this? How does it work? Blah, blah, blah. And agreed. The contract. Real estate purchase contract, I just asked the realtor or a closing attorney or savvy title agent for one. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have the right terms, doesn't really matter what purchase contract you have. It's nice to have a realtor or someone else write it up because then they're responsible for that contract, right? It's nice to have a closing attorney or a really savvy title agent do it. We have a savvy title agent that does it here in Phoenix, Arizona, but in your specific market, you can ask any real estate attorney. They should be able to put together a contract. If not, call the next one. I included a seller finance addendum. So just ask a realtor, again, a closing attorney or a savvy title agent for one. A seller finance addendum is all the specifics of how the deal will go through you and the actual seller, how they get paid, what the monthly payment is. Here are the terms. So the monthly mortgage payment was going to be equal to the current mortgage payment of $1,450 a month. So that's an approximation. It's like $1,453, but $1,450 a month was the payment. So that's literally how I wrote the contract, equal to current mortgage payment. The loan term was 2 years, 24 months. The down payment was $3,000 to the seller, $2,000 to the agent. So my total out of pocket was $5,000 plus closing costs of $1,300. My total was $6,300. I paid $6,300 and I bought a $300,000 house. Okay. The numbers. My payment was $1,450. Okay. The market rent is $1,850. My earnings, $450 a month. By 24 months equals $10,800 in my pocket. My loan balance to pay it off is $243,000. The actual value of the home is $315,000. My total equity is $72,000. The total equity and cash flow profits all combined equal $82,800 approximately. So in 20 days, I was able to lock up $82,800. By the way, just so you know, I did not rent this property for $1,850. It's what I could have rented it for. I had a lot of people offering it. Okay. I actually moved in it myself. So side note, I moved in it because I love the property so much. I loved the area and I had a super low payment and I didn't pay much to get into the deal. So it worked out really well. But this is the total that I would make if I was to lease it and sell it. With the equity alone today, it's fantastic. It's a little over $72,000. Homes on the market like these are the ones that you want to target. Okay. Notice how this property is overgrown. This property is in disrepair. It's probably abandoned. These are great properties to contact or great sellers to contact and make these deals happen if they don't accept your cash offer. And of course, the one I did, 2609 East Fairfield Street. If it's not listed on the market, try skip tracing. You guys can use buymoretime.com/data to get your data lists, and we'll send you a list of properties along with all their info, mailing addresses, phone numbers, name of the property owners. You'll have all of that. You could plug it into your triple dialer or your regular cell phone and get to calling. Here's what I tell people. Okay, so I'm going to talk about where I go to find these deals. This is one site. And B, what I tell them over the phone. I typically just text these individuals. Okay, they're typically okay with texting. So one of the questions is, hi, I'm interested in buying this home. Would the seller be able to take payments from me? I would pay you X if we could close next week. So you're putting the realtor, and this is a message for a realtor. I go to the for sale by realtor by broker page, and you're able to pick off these properties that seem like they've been listed on Craigslist for a long time and just say, look, I'll pay you. Let's get this closed. I'll close by next week. As soon as they are on your side, you win. Okay? As soon as they are on your side, you win. Once they are going to get paid and they know it and they're happy, it's like you and the realtor versus the seller. I mean, it's going to work out typically. If not, that's okay. You move on to the next deal. Zillow. Zillow is how we found a lot of our leads, right? Hi, I'm ready to buy the property on blah, 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 blah street. I'd like to make payments to the seller and pay you a fee to close by next week. Again, the realtor has to make a decision. Do I want an easy, quick check? You know, Christmas is around the corner, and I'm filming this in December. So Christmas is, you know, in 20-something days. It sounds really enticing to take a quick check. You want a quick Christmas check? We can close this out before Christmas, right? Sales 101. I can pay you out of my pocket. I want to take over payments, or I want to work with the seller on making direct payments to the seller. I'm willing to pay full price, or I'm willing to pay close to asking. That comes when you meet the realtor at the property or the seller. Let's go backwards. Going backwards, you can actually go onto Craigslist and contact for sale by owner as well, and for rent by owner. All right. And say the same thing. In fact, it might be even better to contact the seller directly instead of the realtor. Realtors are just great contacts because they just want cash now, as well as the seller. So same thing with Zillow. Start calling. We use call tools, Mojo Dialer, your regular cell phone, set same day appointments always, and make offers. If you're not making offers, you're not going to close deals. That's just a piece of it. You have to make offers. Yeah, I can pay you $250,000 for your house. Can I see it today? That's an offer. You know, I'd like to pay that. Can I see it? Get in the door, make a seller finance offer, make a better offer so you don't have to pay anything or anything large out of pocket to move in. Appointments, fill your calendar with appointments. If you're not filling your calendar with appointments, you're not closing people. Because guess what? You don't close people over the phone, you close people in person. All right. If they're out-of-state owners, it's best to speak with their realtor. I'm sure they have a realtor or some sort of representative on boots on the ground. Meet them, shake their hand, gain trust with them. Sellers that are selling you their property are convinced that you're a decent partner because this is a partnership. A seller finance transaction is a partnership, right? We're just going to recap real quick. How to make $80,000 in 20 days and buy a house with bad credit and no income. All right. Start calling and texting. FSBOs. Start calling and texting for rent by owner. Talk over the phone, close in person. Make 10 offers a day. The offer should be too good to refuse. A lot of times with that, you're offering principal with interest. Super low barrier of entry. So you're not going to pay a whole lot down, but you're offering principal with interest. Okay. Send a contract. Most people are not sending contracts. If you're going to send a contract, you're probably one of very few that did it. If it's a very competitive market and you're not sending a contract, then you most likely won't even be acknowledged. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. That is it today. That is how we made $80,000 in 20 days on seller finance. This is where you ask questions. This is where the Q&A happens. If you have questions, please feel free to ask it. We've done this on many properties. This is just a case study. While you're asking those questions or preparing your questions, I'm going to go backwards in this presentation and go back over the numbers again and how I convinced the seller to agree on my terms. Okay. Remember to text the realtor. Remember to let them know that you don't see any questions yet, do you? Okay. Remember to text the realtor and let them know that you're interested in buying. Show up at the house. Show up at the house and make obvious comments about the updates it needs and what a hassle it is to list it and how many days on the market and how you can resolve all those problems by offering the realtor a couple $1,000 to close the deal next week if they're willing to be creative. So and I don't know if I said your name right. Is it Creel or Creel?
Cheryl?
Cheryl, I'm sorry.
Or Sherelle?
Sherelle?
Lewis.
Cheryl Lewis. It's a pretty name. Did the seller sell the property to you for the loan balance of 245? Yes, it was actually 243 to be exact, but yes. Property was worth more, but it needed updates. So the seller did sell the property to me for the loan balance, and I was just making payments on it that were equal to the monthly mortgage payments. And it actually was the exact same subject to setup that I had. Sherelle. Okay, Sherelle. Thank you. It was actually the same subject to setup that I did have with the seller. It was a subject to. That's what it was. So great question. Great question. So Steve had a question. Go up a little bit. Let's see. I have to go on the phone. Sorry, Steve. I'll come back to you. For some reason, I can't scroll up. I'm going to answer Matt Moreland's question. I've seen testimonials from seller finance and lease options with payouts to investor to 25K higher. Where does that money come from? Testimonials from seller finance and lease options. Yeah. So if you're wholesaling the deal, or see, I could have picked this up and just sold the deal to a new buyer for a $25,000 fee. That's a possibility. I didn't do it, but that's what I could have done. We could have sold the contract for 25K. So maybe that answers your question. I don't know, Matt. And if it doesn't, please specify again.
Steve Hastings, are you writing a note for the difference if they have equity in the property?
No, not at all. We just leave it there. We know what the equity is in it. We comped it out. It just sits. You could, and actually we borrowed against it. We borrowed against our own equity.
You're the owner of the equity.
Yeah,
you don't want to write them a note for it. That's yours.
Right. So since we own the equity, since I'm the new owner of the equity, I actually borrowed against that equity. I did a couple deals with that equity. We bought $5.2 million worth of properties with that equity. So yes, I didn't write a note, but yes, I did leverage that that equity. Great question. Steve says, are you writing? Okay, so we just answered that question. Dang, great questions, guys. All right. Guys, great questions today. This has been a fun ride in flipping paper. I am a fanatic of seller finance deals. I like seller finance deals a lot better than the wholesale deals. They're just more fun for me. We like to structure them that way. Good to see Jacob. Jacob's learning how to structure these seller finance and lease option deals. We'll go over a lease option deal in the future. I think I've already done one before, but we'll do it again. They're just, you have to have a passion for them. They're just more fun.
Here's another question. How do you come up with your assignment fee for lease options and seller finance deals?
So an assignment contract, you can just build by an attorney. If you have a generic assignment contract, you can assign any contract you like. In the state of Arizona, you can assign anything you like in real estate. Every contract's assignable. Assignment for lease options, I have an assignment contract specifically for lease options. These are separate assignment contracts. In fact, I need to post them in this group in the file section, Matt. I'd love to do that. Give me a little bit and I'll have one of my assistants put it in there. Jeriel, I think you have a template for that. If you want to post it in the file section, add the flip and paper logo and we'll do that for you. I will say be careful and make sure your attorney okays it. Every state's so different. I would hate for you to go into litigation because you just decided not to consult with an attorney. So do you usually turn these as rentals or lease options? We did one as a lease option recently, Elmwood property. We turned 19th Run into a rental. You know, Isaac was able to help some family out and he leases it to his family. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, we turn them into rentals. We keep them. We live in them. We wholesale them. Isaac lives in one. He lives in a brand new remodeled North Phoenix property.
That's a note. We'll do that for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole nother day. In fact, Isaac's got to do that one. He's got to walk us through it. Creating a note. That was that was a blast. Remember, we did this with no credit. We did this with no appraisal. We did this with no inspection. We did this with not a whole lot of our own money. Actually, it was our own money, but you don't have to use your own money. You can use your tenant buyer's money. You can use someone else's money to do this. I mean, these are really awesome, fun investor deals that not a whole lot of people are doing, but they're starting to become more and more popular as they see that there's no equity. There's a lot of underwater deals right now, and these types of deals are amazing.
Is there a way to get your assignment fee from the loan and not from the buyer's pocket?
Yeah, you can just put inside your assignment contract that you're going to get a piece of that equity later. You know what I mean? You can. I guess you can create another note.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of weird, but
payment,
but yeah,
it's like you don't need to. You can just do an assignment. He's gonna find out. Well, he doesn't necessarily.
So what Matt's saying is, can you
structure your loan?
Can you structure it
buyer so that you're getting?
So your buyer doesn't have to give it to you up front. You can just take it out of the actual loan. Yeah. You can do that. You can just say, so let's say your buyer, so let's say I got Fairfield and Isaac's going to buy Fairfield from me. I just say, hey, Isaac, you have 24 months. By the way, I need 25K at close of escrow in 24 months from now. And you got to refile the existing lien. So you got to refi the existing lien and I need 25K. Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely.
Or I'm not sure if you asked about a sandwich lease or not.
Yeah. Let me know if if that answered your question, Matt. That's a great question. And Matt, I think you're trying to ask, I wouldn't do that, Matt. You asked, is there a way to get your assignment fee from the loan? I wouldn't do that. Here's why. What if the economy drops and you don't have any more equity in that house? You're not getting paid.
What if you can't make payments?
What if you can't make payments? Yeah. You'd have to set up some sort of clause, deed in lieu, right?
Money today is always better than money tomorrow.
Right. Okay, Sherelle. How do you get the sellers to trust that you won't default? You do a really nice dance. You say a couple long words that they've never heard before, like ubiquitous, and you send them a contract. No, just joking. That's always a worry. It's great to have 3 or 4 references. It's good to have some sort of reference sheet. If you've done this deal before, you'll have history. If you've never done this deal before, you should get a couple of real estate investors or realtors involved to give you their blessing, to say, hey, I trust Sherelle. She's a wonderful real estate investor here. She does really good work. She's very dependable. And here's the deal. You can also structure the deal to be super safe for them. Like say, if I ever go into default past 30 days, I have to deed the property back to you. That's scary for you. But at the same time, that really takes a lot of pressure off the seller, and the seller's like, okay, great. Well, if you do screw up, at least I get the property back ASAP, Great question, Sherelle. So awesome. We'll do another video in the future with Isaac's deal on gelding. We'll do a lot of other videos regarding seller finance. It seems to be a really hot topic right now. A lot of people are excited about it. Thank you for joining us today. If you are on here and you're just not asking questions, that's okay. You might know something we don't know. Please post in the comments. We'd like to hear from you anyway. I answer your question. Great. I have a buyer that needs a lease option for her business, but she is not willing to pay more than 5K down. That's weird. So she wants to do a lease option for her business. So you have a commercial property perhaps? Yeah, you can tie it into some sort of second lien.
Yeah, you can have a higher monthly payment, cash flow.
She can make higher payments maybe. Right? Yeah, and that's a great negotiation point. If you have a deal locked up and you say, look, if you're not willing to pay more than 5K, I'll take your 5K today, but we're going to adjust your payment instead of, 1,200, I need you to pay 1,450, right? For the life of the loan. So there's so many negotiation points. Great question, Matt. That's awesome. Way to hustle. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you next Tuesday. This will be here inside the group. In case you didn't make it here, you can watch it later. Thanks a lot. If you have any other questions, remarks, comments, gossip, post it. We want to hear about it. Thanks for being a member of Flippin' Paper, guys. And get out there and make offers. Oh, and Merry Christmas.